So we have a sort of a sign over on the far side that basically explains a little bit about Gradient Solutions, who we are and what we do. To sort of recap, my business partner and I, and actually all of our associates, have insurance background. I've actually been in the insurance business, exactly like Wendy was saying, for over 20 years. So please, throughout the seminar, whether you're here for just the first one or you're staying for the second one, please feel free to talk insurance lingo to us. We only actually work in the insurance industry. We don't spend time in any other industry. So our focus is on the processes that you have currently going on in your organization and the systems that you're using currently going on in your operation as well. What we have done to enrich our abilities and our skill sets is my partner and I have gone back to school to learn something called lean methodology. Has anybody ever heard of lean methodology before? Yes? Okay, a few people. Great. Lean actually stems from the manufacturing world, believe it or not. It was made popular in manufacturing, and however, like we saw in the video, manufacturing is decreasing and service is increasing. So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about, can lean methodology help me, or can I apply lean methodology within my organization to be in a situation and a position to benefit my processes. And the nice thing about the video too is they tried to drive home as much as they possibly could the emphasis that it's not about cutting costs and it's not about letting employees go. It's about taking that new capacity and using it to benefit the customer. One of the things that we often see when we go into organizations is that brokers are now obliged, so to speak, to have answering systems. And the receptionist sometimes doesn't even exist anymore within the brokerage firm because it's become too complicated. It's got to go to an automated system, and then it often falls on a mailbox, and then there's often back and forth follow-up and so on, because of an inavailability of the people who work within the organization, when yet I don't believe that that is our objective. We want to connect to them. We want to be available. We don't want them to fall into the press 2 for this, press 5 for that. Our system has changed, place 6 now for the next piece. So what we're going to look at today is really quite neat. I'm going to teach you a few new measurements or metrics that we apply in lean methodology. And I'll explain to you how they apply to your organization. We're going to learn about something called lead time. We're going to learn about something called process time. We're going to learn about something else called percentage complete and accurate. We're going to learn about WIP, and we're going to learn about prep time. These are all, again, stemming from the manufacturing world. So we say to ourselves, well, Sean, I'm not in manufacturing. Are you going to tell me about manufacturing the whole time? Nope. I'm going to talk to you about insurance, and I'm going to talk to you about your insurance processes, but why it's important to start understanding the value of measuring these most important metrics within your organization and how they actually relate to the relationship you have with your customer. Lead time. Lead time is the time it takes from when I've ordered a pizza to when the pizza is delivered at my house. I called, spoke to somebody, 30 minutes later, it's at my house. I called, I spoke to somebody, an hour later, it was at my house, and it was cold. I called, I never got a pizza, I had to call back. That's the lead time. I put in a request, I received what I was looking for. If we relate that to insurance, it's actually quite simple. I called for a new business quote, I got the quote right away. Took 15 minutes, took 20 minutes. I called for a new business quote. The person said, I'll get back to you before the end of the day. They weren't able to. They called me the next day. I called for a new business quote, and nobody called me back. I had to call again. Does that happen in our industry at all? Right. So it's important to start understanding, how does that affect my customer, the different areas where I have lead time that might not be satisfactory. Process time, if we go back to the pizza, takes me about 5 minutes to prepare the dough, takes me about another 3 minutes to put the toppings on, then I have to put the pizza itself in the oven, that's about another 10-12 minutes, put it in a box, and again, if my drivers had 4 or 5 Red Bulls, I should be able to get that pizza to you in about 4 minutes from when they take off. Staying within something else that we call tack time, which is the promised delivery time of 30 minutes. So process time is really important in our industry as well. I'd love to do more new business quotes, but it takes me an hour to do them. I could do twice as many if we had the process down to 30 minutes. Isn't that logical? That makes sense, right? When my system is slower, or I have to rekey information into multiple systems, the process is longer. So process time as well, really important to look at, because at the end of the day, it directly affects my lead time. The more process time it takes, if it took me longer to cook the pizza, prepare the pizza, or deliver the pizza, it's going to take me longer to get it to your house. Anybody ever heard of percentage complete and accurate? In manufacturing, we use it all the time when things come off the manufacturing plant and they don't work. In the service world, we just simply call them errors. Has anybody ever received an insurance company's policy that had a few mistakes in it? No, never. Has a producer ever given anything to a CSR or a technical assistant that might have been missing a little bit of information? No, really? I didn't think that happened in Ontario. So percentage complete and accurate is really important because it comes and fiddles around with our process time and our lead time again. If the information is not accurate and precise, and real time is the same game. Real time, in theory, should work effectively. We should be able to submit things from our BMS to a portal, or we should be able to download information. Sometimes when we look at the download, is it accurate? Do we need to clean it up? Sure. Sometimes download's accurate, sometimes it's not. Sometimes there's additional work that we need to do. WIP's a fun one. Does anybody know what the term WIP means? Work in progress. Absolutely. Work in progress. That's exactly what it means. Does anybody have a few activities open on their computer screen when they arrive in the morning? A few follow-ups, a few abeyances, maybe a couple of files on their desk, waiting for stuff? That's WIP, right? That stresses us out. It makes it difficult for us to focus on some of our other customers who have priorities because we have all these thoughts in our head about all these follow-ups and abeyances that are going on in our day-to-day life, not being able to perhaps take full advantage of all the real-time opportunities we have to do the famous one and done. When we're able to do a one and done real-time transaction, no follow-up. We take it off the plate. It's gone. How much better do we feel when we've done a one and done in our office versus creating an abeyance and a follow-up for ourselves? Even physically, we feel better, do we not? Absolutely. Prep time. Anybody ever cook in somebody else's kitchen? Yeah? How much fun is that? It's painful. That's a good term. It is painful. Why is it painful? What's wrong with somebody else's kitchen? They might have better lighting. What? We don't know where everything is, right? And in the insurance world, the part that's tricky for us is that everybody's got to cook in 7 or 8 other kitchens all day long. You're in this person's kitchen, you're in Aviva's kitchen, and then you're in Lombard's kitchen, right? And then you're in somebody else's kitchen, Northbridge, sorry. And then you're in somebody else's kitchen, you're in Intact's kitchen. You're always going from kitchen to kitchen going, where do you keep the spices? Again, real time helping us try and stay away from that and stay in our kitchen as much as we can to be able to help us with the prep time. So prep time means it's not really just about the actual process. I don't know where the cheese is that I have to put on the pizza. I can't find it. I haven't even gotten to putting it on the pizza yet. I'm still looking for it, right? So that's the interesting thing in our industry too. When a customer calls, sometimes what happens is we open up their file and then we're like, wow, there's open activities, there's a bunch of attachments, there's comments, there's notes. I have to fill all that information into my head before I can even address their question, before I've even started to process it. So today, if you feel some of these things may exist within your organizations, today what we're going to talk about is, well, how do I transition the group? How do I bring my staff to a place where I can improve some of these metrics that I currently want to improve, because at the end of the day, the customer wants their pizza in 30 minutes or maybe even 5 minutes. And that's why people just buy the store-bought ones and shove them in the oven too, right? Because they don't even have time to wait the 30 minutes anymore. And in insurance, is there a professional piece? Absolutely. I am an insurance broker myself. I understand the professional component of insurance. But there's also the reality that the customer today wants to have it within a certain time frame that's reasonable. Would we agree to that? One of the reasons why the customer wants to get it is because they associate it to other products and services that we may have. So if I can deliver a new piece of business to a customer within 2 days, 3 days, 4 days from when they quoted, how do you think they're going to feel that my claim service works within my organization? What are they going to say about my claim service? Likely that it rocks, right? Wow, I got a policy in 3-4 days from these people? They must be awesome when it comes to settling claims. What if they get it in 45 days?
They must be awesome.
Thank you, Wendy. That was funny. Okay, are we ready to get going? So let's start with the language of it together. First, what is transition? Transition is the process of change from one state or situation to another, and by its nature, a transition involves a movement or a shift. So we're going from one state of being to another. I had physical files, I no longer have physical files. Who used to only have one screen on their desk 5 years ago? Who now has 2 screens on their desk? Who now has 3 screens on their desk? Yay, the 3 screeners. Air traffic control in the back, yeah. Exactly. And other people are like, I'm just waiting for that 3rd screen, right? If I had said to you 5 years ago, yeah, you'll probably have 2-3 screens on your desk, everyone would be like, what? Why would I have 2-3 screens on my desk? The verb, undergo or cause to undergo a process or period of transition. We decided to transition to a new set of processes. So we decided that we were going to make changes within our organization, and we had a workflow that looked like this, option A, and now we're changing it to a workflow that looks like this, option B. So how does the word transition make us feel? And let's be honest, what are some of the first things that come to mind or would come to mind if a boss comes into the office and he goes, all right guys, we're transitioning. We're going somewhere. What are we thinking?
Road trip.
Road trip. Yeah, we're going on a road trip. Great. Shotgun, right?
We get anxious.
We get anxious. Why do we get anxious?
Because we don't like change.
Because we don't like change. What is it about change that we don't like?
Because we're comfortable in what we know.
We're comfortable in what we know. Change is the unknown, right? So we kind of need a Sherpa to say, yeah, I don't mind climbing the mountain, but somebody better come with me that knows a little bit more about it than me, who's going to help me through the process, that I can rely on, that I can count on, that can get me from the bottom to the top. I don't think anybody worries about being up at the top unless they're afraid of heights, but they do worry a little bit about the process of getting from one piece to the other. Anything else about change that's concerning? I'll share with you some of the ones that we hear when we come in, because we're the big bad consultants, right? Oh boy, here we go. Here come consultants coming into the office telling us that we don't know what we're doing, and they've got all the answers. Our motto is, we know everything, right? That's who we are. Transition, well, that sounds like work, first of all. That sounds like more work. I already have a job, and now you're bringing me something new. Is it going to hurt? People want to know if it's going to be painful. It's kind of like exercise. Is this going to hurt? How do we know where we're going? Where are we transitioning to exactly? I'm on the road trip, but where are we going? Do we have a GPS? Do we know how to get there and where it is that we're trying to get to? What about will we get it right? Is that not one of our biggest concerns as well? When we decide we want to bring on some new changes in our organization, I feel a lot of people hesitate because they worry about whether they will get it right. We're going to look at today how to define the actual objectives that we have, and the clearer we can define our objectives, the easier it is for us to actually plot the course to getting it right. Will we actually see any benefits? Are we going to work our tails off and no one's going to notice that I've lost weight and that I look better than I used to in the bathing suit? I don't want to work out unless somebody's going to point out to me, you look a lot better. Right? Come on. Let's be honest. How long is this going to take anyways, transitioning? Is that something that's going to take a week? Is that something that's going to take a month? Are we in this for like, how many meetings are we having anyways? Are we going to have meetings every week? Like, how long is this going to last? I appreciated the muffin and the coffee, but is this every week that we have to do this or what? How are we going to convince the others? All right, I buy in. I've drank the Kool-Aid. What about everybody else? There's a lot of people here that are afraid, that are really happy with their one screens, that are really happy with their pen and paper and their files. Is it lunchtime? Some people say it's not change that we actually fear, that it is transition, because transition is the work part, right? Everybody would love to be in top shape. I'd love to be in top shape, but I don't know if I feel like getting up at 6 in the morning and jogging and exercising and lifting weights and doing everything else to be in top shape. Other people might love to learn another language, but they might find it pretty tricky to start practicing and training and finding other people that they can speak with and stumbling and so on and so forth. They want to be able to go to Spain and speak the language, but they may find it difficult, the process of transition, to get there. So our goal today is to demonstrate how transition, done the right way, actually brings important energy to your organization. It can also motivate your staff to want to participate. And this is what we want to talk about today. How do we get everybody to buy in? How do we get everybody to be motivated instead of leave the meeting with their heads down, going, I'm not sure about this. It really doesn't seem clear to me. I'm not convinced that this is going to make any difference at all. I'm not saying everyone's going to leave holding hands, but I'm saying there are definitely ways to get our staff to want to buy in to changing and transitioning to a new way of working. So for us, it starts with the reasons. When we want to go from somewhere to somewhere else, it starts with why. Why are we doing it? It's really key for everybody in the room today to think back to all the changes and transitions that you've done and understand or ask yourself, did I really, really, really take time to say, why are we doing this? What's the point in doing the change? We're going paper-free. Why are we going paper-free? Everyone's going to have 2 screens. Why is everybody going to have 2 screens? Then it's a question of, how is it going to benefit the customer? I said it yesterday, and I'll definitely repeat it today. From my experience, and I've only worked in the insurance industry, but I definitely spend time talking to people in other industries, I cannot believe how dedicated we are as a group to the customer. I believe we all go above and beyond the call of duty on a consistent basis. I've never walked into a brokerage firm and had the impression that they didn't give a hoot about their clients. I always feel that everyone's like, we're doing our best. We love our customers. We want to serve our customers. No better way to motivate the group, the staff, the employees, than to say, we're going to start by figuring out why these changes will actually benefit the customers. Then we're going to talk about why does it benefit the operations? How does it help us organizationally? How does it help us with our lead times? How does it help us with our process times? All these fancy words that you guys all know off by heart now. How does it help us as an organization from an operational standpoint? And then the last piece, reason number 3 is, what are the benefits to the employees? Was anybody in traffic this morning? How is that feeling? Why? Isn't traffic awesome? No, there's nothing great about traffic. Even when they say put on tranquil music or listen to your emails or whatever you do when you're in traffic. There's nothing exciting about that. Why? What's wrong with traffic? What does it do to us?
Stressful.
Stressful, waste, yeah, waste of time, slows us down, right? So the employee has to have benefits in all this as well. The more benefits we can pull for the employee that are also good for the customer, that are also good for the operation, you're getting you're getting the employee to buy in because they feel the benefits of the change as well. So lean methodology says, and we saw it in the video as well, when our focus is on the customer will then do what for us? If we're improving our processes with regards to our customers, what does the customer do for us in return? Sorry? Stays our customer, absolutely. Tells other people. If I went into all of your BMSs today and I ran a report that had a marketing field that showed me where your new business came from, I will put at least 25 cents on the line because I'm not sure I'll be able to get the information out of some of the systems. Just kidding, Bill. I'm not sure to what extent we've actually studied it, but I'm pretty sure, because I've looked at a lot of offices and a lot of new business reports, most of your new business is coming as a referral from your customer. So why not focus on process improvement related to making my client as happy as possible? They are the biggest part of your sales force that you have. So when they're wowed, when they're impressed, everything that Bill was talking about today, when the customer is going, whoa, that's amazing, I'm really engaged in this, it's because you're doing things from an operational standpoint. You're getting the pizza there in 30 minutes, and it's still warm, and it tastes good. The person has a smile when they're delivering it to you, and they didn't step on any of your plants while they walked up your lawn or anything like that. You know it's happened before. What are some of the aspects of real-time that can help our customers? What do we feel some of the aspects of real-time technology are today, available today, that can help our customers? Anybody's open to answer that question. Vendors, brokers, who wants to take a stab at that? How is real-time helping my customer? Yes. An answer when they call us.
Yes. When they expect it.
An answer when they call us, an answer when they expect it. I agree. When we call Bell, or we call another cable company, or we call, okay, maybe not Bell, maybe Bell's not a great example. When we call the Bell we would like to have, and not always the Bell we get. When we call any customer service organization, is the tendency for them to try and resolve the situation on that call? Absolutely. We don't get the, let me look into it and I'll call you back tomorrow or maybe the day after tomorrow, right? We are expecting that the solution is right there. And we believe real-time technology can help you answer that first call. How does that help our WIP? Exactly. We don't have the follow-up activities that are created. The lead time is better. I came in with a question, you answered right away. So how does real-time help us in our operations? What does real-time do with regards to our operations? Anyone? Sure, it's going to make them more efficient, giving us something that we refer to as capacity. We suggest eliminating waste. For those of you who are staying for the second half, what we're doing in the keynote today is telling you why we feel it's important. In the second part, we're going to show you how to do it. How do you bring changes into the organization? 70% of the steps in insurance workflows are non-value added. We'll get into more detail again after with regards to what is a workflow and how does a workflow work. But most workflows probably have anywhere in the area of 15 to 20 steps. A new business workflow, an endorsement workflow, cancellation workflow. When you look at them, 70% of them, they don't bring any value to the customer. They're not being wowed by the fact that you have to do that process in the back. I'm not saying you don't have to do it. I'm not saying it's not a question of it being important for either the carrier or management internally or so on and so forth. But we're saying, what can we do to slowly start to eliminate those steps so that the customer feels the impact. Benefits to the employee, the employer. How does Realtime help you as the employee? Less work.
Less cursing, real difference.
Less cursing, I like that. A more zen environment, yeah.
Actually making a real difference in helping people.
So isn't that kind of like traffic? Like that is the true frustration, right? Like we know what the client would really like to have in terms of the service, and it's like we can't get it. We can reach for it, but we can't get it sometimes. When we all, and this is my experience having worked with so many brokers, is that we all strive for it. We all strive to be able to give them exactly what they're looking for. Because I think it does make the employees feel better. And that is what's going to drive transition as well. Transition is going to be pushed forward because your employee feels there's something positive in it for them. They are going to be in traffic less often. They are going to be motivated by wanting to put these changes. We just have to demonstrate to them how. So when we decide we're going to communicate to them and explain to them that we are going paper-free, or that they're having multiple screens, or that we're going to be doing upload and download and we're going to be using technology to its fullest, we need to explain to them this is how it benefits you in your day-to-day life. When we do that, you have believers, people who have drank the Kool-Aid. If we just talk about the fact that I'm going to pop a second screen on your desk and we don't relate it necessarily to how it makes their life better, who would want to go back to one screen now that you have two? Never. Nobody's going back to one screen. Who is paper-free and would love to go back to the physical files?
God, no.
Okay. So we did get there, did we not? Were we willing at the beginning? Some people, yes, perhaps. And other people, maybe a little bit less. Some people may have been less afraid of the idea. So what motivates our employees? Contrary to popular wisdom, it's actually not just money. And it's not necessarily joy either. A research study was done by somebody by the name of Dan Ariely. And what Dan realized through several studies that he did is that people want to progress. They want to move forward. They want to feel that what they have been doing is allowing them to go up the mountain, to climb up the hill slowly but surely. Who would love to take a few steps forward and then take the exact same steps back? That's not motivating at all. What did he do to figure this out? He picked two groups, gave them both Lego pieces, told them he was going to pay them to assemble Lego for them. They had to build little cars, little houses. They had pictures. They knew what they were doing. It wasn't overly complicated what they were asked to put together. So the two groups built their Lego. They were paid. And he walked over to one group. He grabbed their Lego pieces. He destroyed them in front of them, dropped them down on the table. He went over to the other group, grabbed their Lego pieces, praised them for what they had just created, and said, we're going to put these on display so that everybody can see them. And now I'm going to pay everybody again, and we're going to start all over. And he goes back to the first group and says, I have new designs for you. There's new things that you're going to build. Which group lasted longer? That's not hard to figure out, right? And I think that's somehow what happens with the employee within the organization, is they feel sometimes projects get started, projects get moved forward, but then they don't get completed. And then they never get displayed, and they never get showed off, and they never get to feel like there's progress. And again, Realtime is such a great way to drive progress within our organization. There's something about cyclically doing the same thing over and over again that is not very motivating. I put it in the BMS, I put it in the portal, I then decided to put some of it in Word, put a little bit more of it in Excel, and then I decided, what the heck, why don't I put some of that into CompuQuote too? I'm already here, I've already put it in 4 different places. I've got all these screens. I'll return the other calls later. So this is a fun image. Even the best laid plans that we have within our organization, when we start on our path from going from somewhere to somewhere, everybody thinks right off the bat, that's a straight line. I know exactly where I'm going. We're going from here to there, and it's going to be really easy, and we're all going to do it together. The path is rarely straight. It's often quite crooked. The benefit to the organization is that we learn at each of these various checkpoints that we need to simply learn from what we've had in terms of our experiences, and Bill said it earlier before too. If we fall down, we get up and we just keep pushing forward, but we keep our goal and our objective in line. The whys. Why are we doing this for the customer? Why are we doing this for the operations? Why are we doing it for ourselves? And that allows you to reach your goal. In essence, what we see all too often, and we talk about it a little bit later, is that people sort of make it to second base or they make it to third base, and then they're like, I'm done. I can't keep trying to pursue this thing. I've been trying to get this piece of technology to work, or I've been trying to get my employees to buy into a new way of processing, and I just can't get there. We go a little bit, and then we fall back. So the road is not necessarily straight. It does have its curves and its winds to it. It's just a question of continuing to pursue that will allow you to get there. Communication. It's been said many times before, I'm definitely not the person who invented this, but the three most important words in business is communication, communication, communication. It's what really alleviates employees from the fear that they may have through the transition process. It allows employees to have a forum and an opportunity to express their concerns. We have to be open to it. We have to allow them to say, I'm not good with this. I don't like this. I'm afraid because of all these things. And we need to be prepared on our side to have the answers. Unfortunately, in spite of this, too many organizations get so wrapped up in the actual changes and into the process improvements that they want to put forward that they forget about the communication piece. They forget about the human side, the people who are actually going through the process. Managers need to be given the right tools as well. Managers need to understand, well, what is the path? Where are we going? How are we getting there? How do I answer the typical questions that we would get from the employees? We know we're going to get questions from the employees. What should the answers be? Let's be consistent. Let's all agree together that these are the answers that we want to give them to allow them to feel more comfortable through the transition process. The more managers have the tools they need, the more managers can do their job. Another great point of communicating is we get to see the reaction of the people. If we talk to them about it, we'll see which ones put their heads down, which ones cross their hands, which ones just look at the desk and say, don't ask me any questions, please. Right? It was explained to me quite a few years ago that when employees are afraid and they have an opportunity to voice it, that's a good thing because they actually care about where they're going. They actually want to get there. They're just worried about it. So when they come up to you and say, I don't like this, I'm upset, I'm concerned, you've got to take that actually as a positive sign that they're actually just saying, I like the idea, I'm just not sold yet. So this piece of the communication is really important. We realize why. People want to be part of the group. Everybody wants to be involved and needs to be involved. We said it right at the beginning. Stay on course and reap the benefits. Stay on course. Don't give up. Keep plugging away. That's why you set the goals. That's why you set the objectives that you have, to give you an idea of how close you actually are to arriving. So we're going to finish off with some quick best practices. Let's start by determining our whys, right? Why am I doing this anyways? Why am I bringing the organization through this transition process? What are the benefits and what are the beliefs that we have as an organization that help us? Who has a famous mission, vision, and value statement? Some people have them. For the organizations that do have mission, vision, and value statements, or any combination of the three, a lot of them love to bring those back into play based on why they've decided to change and transition. Start small and stay agile. Who's ran a marathon here before? Have you? Congratulations. We have one person out of the 85 of us, 75 of us. 2 people. Congratulations. That's more than London. You guys are in better shape than London. 3? Fantastic. Did you just decide, okay, I'm going to run a marathon tomorrow, or did you actually train and practice for a while? Right. Baby steps, right, folks? Baby steps. Keep the project small. Get everybody involved in the process at the operational level. Don't leave people out. Employees don't like being left out. Everybody has an opinion. It's not from an upward process. It's from a downward process. People who are on the floor should be the ones involved in what the transition is. They are the ones who understand. Determine the impact the change will have. That's your key to the communication piece too. Understand in advance what the change will mean to the organization and the impact that it will have on the organization, and then you can answer your employees' questions effectively. Back to the communication, communication, communication. Plan your actual work, set your time frame, give yourself objectives. I want to get this done in 3 months, I want to get this done in 6 months, and define the roles of the individual people. Still a part of communication. Here's the team of people that I have. We're going to definitely get into it in more detail afterwards in the second session. But we need to define the roles and why it's so important to define the roles of the specific people who are involved in the transformation process. Measure your current state, measure your future state. Remember the Lego? At first, it was just pieces, and then we built something. I could actually see the difference between just pieces of Lego and then something constructed with those pieces. Your staff would love to see the same thing. Everybody going through the process would love to appreciate this is where we were. It took us 1 hour and 20 minutes to deliver the pizza. At the end, we're actually getting it there in 30 minutes on average. Those are the nice things that employees are looking for. They want something tangible out of it. Work towards removing non-value added steps from the process. Again, that's our traffic. That's what we call our waste. Help them take those steps out of the process. They're going to be more inclined to be involved in it. Look to identifying the 7 deadly wastes. And don't quit. We'll talk about the 7 deadly wastes after. 7 deadly wastes are, again, a manufacturing lingo that basically says whatever the cause of the slowdown is here, it's caused by one of 7 things going on in the organization. It's 7 defined specific things that are causing those things to occur. And please don't quit. When we walk into an organization, we can't tell you how many times we've seen from our own experience that people get so far, and you do. There's a lot of processes that you bring really far, but for some reason they just don't make it all their way all the way to the end. And that's too bad, because then you don't get a chance to really reap the benefits. Any questions? Comments? Yes?
One of the things you said was get everyone involved in process at all levels of the operation.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on that? Because we're looking at a lot of transitions within our office, and we're finding that when you have the staff and you start telling you about some stuff, you get so many opinions that are thrown at you, and you don't mind the opinions, but you don't need everything that's involved with those opinions, and I think it should be kind of mentalities behind it. Can you kind of elaborate what you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean, we get into it in more detail after as well if you're interested in staying back. But it's a really good comment, and I think you're right. I think everybody voices their opinion, and at the end of the day, we would suggest to those organizations that they actually do need to take the time to note all of those people's opinions, because that's where the buy-in comes from. And then you filter it in terms of which ones are actually the same. They're saying it differently, but they're saying the same thing. And then in terms of deciding which process to choose, which I think is what you're saying, like I think it should be this way, I think it should be that way, we believe you should actually test multiple ones and let the testing determine which one actually drives the value to the customer and which one improves all the other elements. So it's not about picking individual people's opinions on it should be this way. Test multiple ones, document that answer, and then share it with the group and say, it turns out this is the one that makes the most sense for the organization. And that way people believe in it. Any other questions or comments? You're ready for your next breakout?
Thank you, John.
No problem.